We are going to start our look at the Gothic in Italy in the city of Orvieto. It's located kind of smack dab in the middle of the Italian peninsula. And to give you some context about what was happening in Orvieto in the late medieval period, the Gothic period, Orvieto was a hub of trade along the Italian peninsula because it linked the major cities of Rome and Florence. And as one of the only land routes, it was able to control all trade coming in and out of northern and southern Italy between these two major players of Florence and Rome. It's also perched on a outcrop of extinct volcanoes. Let me just show you here. And so it has this height, this visual domination, where the city can look out and beyond the city limits itself, and therefore can protect its city from any kind of threat or invasion. The other thing I wanted to show you was, look at this one here. This one here, this is a woodblock print showing you just around the early Renaissance period, showing you the city of Orvieto. And you can see how it's on that rise of the mountainside, and then it's showing you the links of the road that would connect it to Rome and to Florence. So within that context, let's look at the city of Orvieto, or more specifically, I should say, at the main church in the city. So this is our first official artwork for our class. Oh, wow. Okay, what's going on here? Before we look at this artwork, I want to first give you a heads up of this is typical of the formatting that I will be using for introducing artworks to you. I'm always going to have the period style listed in the top left corner. You see it there? So it says Italian Gothic. So if I ever ask you to identify a period style, you'll always know the period style I want. And so for this one, if I would ask you what is the period style for the Orvieto Cathedral, you would then tell me, oh, it's Italian Gothic. You got that? So I will always keep the period style as they change throughout the semester. I'll always keep it up on the top left corner. And that is to help you understand, or not help you understand, well, yeah, help you understand what you're looking at, and also to help you keep track. Because you'll be looking at things and like, wait, what is this? Is this neoclassical? Is this romantic? Is this rococo? What's going on? So that period style is always going to be at the top left corner. Now you'll see here, I've put the title of the artwork in italics, Orvieto Cathedral, and then I've told you the location. It's still in its original location of Orvieto, Italy. That might seem obvious, but it's not always going to be the case. Many of the artworks that we'll be looking at have been removed, and so I may not emphasize the location because it's not going to be important to our discussion of the artwork. I'm not going to list if and when it's in every single museum. Does that make sense? So if the location is an important element, I'm going to tell you about it. If it's not, I'm not going to list the location. Also, I may include dates. Sometimes I'll put specific numeric dates. You might be thinking, but Ms. Cortez, you just said that you weren't going to quiz us on dates. I won't, but I'll put the dates up there as a way to give you some kind of frame of reference. So if you want to write them in your notes, you can. Now, the Orvieto Cathedral does not have a specific artist associated with it, and so I have not included an artist. But we will be looking at a lot of works that do have a specific artist. So if there is an artist, I will put the artist's name, the title of the artwork, and if the location is important to understand the artwork, I will also put the location. I'll go through this again as we see different variations of these kinds of artwork captions. So we have our period style, our artwork caption, and then Here is the artwork. The artwork is the cathedral, or the main church in Orvieto. And what we're seeing from the exterior is the front of the church, and then the body of the church, and then back here is the end of the church. Look how massive this church is. I like to have images of buildings with people in them so that you can understand the size of these artworks. Let's look at it inside. Here we are. Ooh, ah. So here we are looking from the front doors down to the back of the church. And we're standing in the center aisle, or the nave. I may be using a lot of vocabulary terms right now that you're unfamiliar with. That's fine. As we go through this semester, if there are any vocabulary words or architectural terms that I want you to know, I'll be putting up a definition and the vocabulary word so that you can write that down. It'll be very clear the vocabulary I'm expecting you to learn and use throughout the semester. So here we are looking inside, and this is the roof. It's a timber roof or a wood roof. The stripes of the stonework are made from two different color stones. So a dark and a light stone create this beautiful striped pattern up and around. This type of striped pattern of stonework is very common in Gothic churches in Italy. It's one of the preferred styles. Here we are looking at it again from the outside. So we were standing just inside this doorway, and from here I want us to recognize elements of architecture because they're going to be changed or ignored in the Renaissance. But before we go any further, I want to recognize a change in your caption. You see that? So now I've added an artist, Lorenzo Meitani. Lorenzo Meitani designed the face of the church. So when we're looking at the front of the church, this design is associated with this artist. So I've added the artist, Lorenzo Meitani. He is one of the lesser known but extremely successful Italian Gothic artists. So here in Meitani's design of the face of Orvieto Cathedral, we're going to recognize characteristics of the Gothic. Those characteristics are here: pointed gables, a rose window, and a vertical emphasis. Now, remember I told you that if the vocabulary term is important, I'll put it up on the screen. So take a screenshot, take a picture with your phone. I've given you elements that I want you to recognize as characteristic of the Italian Gothic. One is the pointed gables. Pointed gables. Pointed gable is another word for the roof line. So you see those pointed gables here. And then the rose window, so typical in Gothic architecture. It's called a rose window because it's typically a circle, and the stonework and the stained glass in the middle of it radiate out in these kind of petal-like shapes, like a blooming rose. And then the third characteristic I want you to be aware of is the vertical emphasis. What I mean is this emphasis of height. Notice how the stonework all creates these long vertical lines that help pull your eye up. It makes the building look a lot taller than it is. In fact, even those pointed gables help to kind of pull your eye up. So pointed gables, rose window, and a vertical emphasis are characteristic of the Italian Gothic. Let's see, do you see them here? Yeah, so this is just another view of Orvieto Cathedral. But those are the pointed gables. There's that rose window, and then this long emphasis of height, the vertical lines stretching up, up, up. So those are characteristics that we're going to then see, like I said, ignored or changed or modified during the Renaissance period.